how in one season have Maya and Carina gone from the pinnacle of positive women-loving women representation on one of the most popular television shows to just the dumpster fire that we have right now with their one and only storyline in season 5 of Station 19. Today, we're going to be talking about LGBTQ representation and why the perfect LGBTQ character is ruining our television shows. So prior to this season, people, for the most part, loved Maya and Carina. They hit this magic spot of it was actually good writing, it was good representation, the actresses killed it, and they also had really good chemistry. And those things are really rare. There's always something normally lacking in the other representation that's on TV at the moment. So we had this awesome couple that were both great characters individually, and they had a good relationship that wasn't fake. It was actually realistic. They had problems, they had issues, they worked on them, like disasters happened. Carina's brother died, she nearly had to leave the country, Maya cheated on her, all these things were tough, and they got through them and still got married in season 4, the start of season 5. So what exactly has happened, and why are people so angry on social media about what they've done to these two characters? Because it seems as though they've both had lobotomies, and the only storyline they've had this season has centered around them looking for a sperm donor, and pretty much the last few episodes have just been all about their relationship with one of the male firefighters, Jack. When Maya and Carina were talking about forever and the idea of getting married, they had the issue of Maya didn't want children and Carina did. Well, come season 5, they didn't do what they normally do with this couple, which was approach the characters, their storyline, and everything else to do with them with respect, care, and nuance. They just bulldozed in, ignored everything we knew about the characters, who they were as people, and what they were like as a couple, and had Maya basically overnight change who she was and change her mind and decide she absolutely 100% was on board with kids and wanted them right this second. So after this snap decision, the rest of the season, which we only have a few episodes left, the entire rest of the season has been made up of this hunt for a sperm donor. Now, we don't see them going to any doctor's appointments. I know Carina is obviously like an OBGYN specialist, but we don't see them even doing anything else that would support this decision apart from literally just talking about Jack. And they had one episode where they both had picked sperm donors in like, you know, a center, and they didn't like each other's ones, and then they just gave up and that was it. And they were like, oh, okay, we'll ask someone in our life, which it's just that, I mean, that's for some people, but not the person that you cheated on your wife with. Like, this is the reason that people have the issue with the storyline, and people keep saying, well, it's because Danielle, who plays Maya in real life, donated her egg to her best friend who is gay. And yes, I understand that, but I mean, obviously I don't know, but I don't think the gay friend that she donated her egg to cheated on his husband with Danielle. So do you know what I mean? Like, I can't believe I'm having to explain this, but that is why people have the issue. And they also try and like then twist it and be like, oh, I wouldn't want to leave Carina and the baby alone, which, one, why would you ask someone else who is a firefighter and is in the exact same line of danger you are? And also, you're not asking someone to they keep saying family, he's joining our family. He is not joining your family. He would be a sperm donor. And it's just, I really get frustrated with that too. Like, as I've said in tons of videos, I have no interest in this storyline. I have no interest in more lesbians having baby storylines, but it frustrates me that they're trying to cheapen it for the people who do want to see those storylines, and that is, you know, representation for them because they have kids. So every week it just keeps getting more and more frustrating when they're trying to push this "we're looking for a sperm donor to join our family" narrative, because we've already seen this.
Today I found out that I'm pregnant with Mark's baby.
Do you not remember, like, in 2012 when you got backlash for this storyline with Arizona, Callie, and Mark? Like, is your memory that short? So they've already done this. We've already explained why all that is problematic as well, and yet here they are again doing it. So what exactly is happening here? Why are people so frustrated? Obviously, I'm not in the Grey's Anatomy and Station 19 writer's room, but we're gonna hazard a guess. Maya and Carina, prior to this season, were written like real people, like real characters. They had dramas that happened, they had issues. Karina's brother died, like Maya cheated on her, she nearly had to leave the country because of her visa. These are actual problems, and they were also constantly working on themselves and their relationship. Nothing was perfect, and they were things that all people could relate to, not just people who are LGBTQ. So let's look specifically at the L Word versus the L Word Generation Q, and a lot of this will work for Sex and the City and Just Like That as well. So with Gen Q, a lot of people say it's not the same, it's not as funny, and also the main point is a lot of the characters and storylines are very checkboxy and just there for representation's sake. And I do think that there's some valid points to this, because I think that this goes for And Just Like That as well, Supergirl, and a lot of the other shows that we all talk about, is that the writers are going in and they're saying we need to have a lesbian character, a trans character, a this character, or that character, and they're not actually just writing good characters and good storylines and then at the end being like, oh, okay, we can make this a same-sex couple and we can make this character trans, and you know, you can add in those little nuances and bits when you're revising the script and going through different drafts, but you don't need to make someone's sexuality their entire identity. I mean, I've talked about this tons of times before, but if you are over 25, and pretty much everyone on my channel is because I way skewer into the older demographic, but most people over 25, your sexuality is not something that you're talking about every single day. It's just the same as, oh, you know, I have a weird accent and I have blonde hair. Like, yes, these are things that, you know, if someone's meeting me for the first time, you always go through that awkward dance of when someone's asking you if you have a husband, and I'm like, no, I don't have a husband, but blah, blah, blah. Or someone says, oh, is your partner here and what does he do, and you have to be like, oh, she blah blah blah. Like, yes, those are funny little things, but it's 5 seconds, like, and then they're like, oh, okay, cool, like, and that's it. It's no, you know, someone's not gasping in horror. So why are we having these characters that their entire identity is built around their sexuality? The thing about popular LGBTQ shows, I mean, if you think of your favorite ones, most people are going to say The L Word, Orange is the New Black, shows like that. And the reason shows like that are the pinnacle and what people rewatch and just are still huge fans of, even, you know, after they're long off TV, is the fact that the characters in those shows are real characters. They're not perfect. They're problematic as hell. Think about the original L Word, Bet fucking Porter.
Do you want to do it again?
Oh god, yeah.
Okay.
Fucking idiot. Fucking insane savage! Bring it on, you fucking dwarf. I'd like to fucking murder somebody. You maybe.
Probably the most universally loved, revered, respected lesbian characters. And people like Sophia from Orange is the New Black that Laverne Cox played. She's a criminal, but people love that character because she was real. And it's the same with like Alex Voss and all, like that show was literally set in a prison with criminals, but people loved it. They talked about it constantly. And when Netflix renewed it, literally they renewed it for something like 3 seasons because it was so popular at the time, because it was real. It dealt with real things and real people, and their sexuality wasn't this whole big song and dance over. And that's the same thing when you think about Sex and the City, and in Just Like That, the same sort of thing. Like Che Diaz, it was like all that, their entire personality was the fact that they were non-binary and queer. Like, that can't be the I guess it can be the defining feature, but it doesn't make a great character. So how exactly does all of what I've just said relate to Maya and Carina? They've gone from writing characters who are nuanced and are real and happen to just be same-sex couples, and now they have these characters that are defined by their LGBTQ-ness, and that's not how you write good television. They went in writing this particular storyline from Danielle's life when it didn't fit the couple nor the storyline on the show, and they tried to like squeeze Jack in there when it didn't fit in any aspect of the show. They even went for the angle with, not wanting Carina alone with the baby, and chose someone who's in the exact same situation and the same danger in their job. But that is one minute part of it. The biggest problem anyone has with this is the fact of the cheating. I just cannot get how they even remotely thought people would think this is okay. They basically made a checkbox and wanted to tick it about Danielle's real life situation when it did not fit the characters, the show, or the storyline. And instead of writing real stories, they did this, which is the same things that have happened on the L Word Generation Q and Just Like That, Supergirl, and a whole host of other shows that I could sit and list, because there's so many that go about this tick boxing narrative rather than writing an actual story with real people. And that's the major problem with LGBTQ representation on television today. They're so preoccupied with making these check boxes and getting them ticked for brownie points that they've forgotten what makes really good LGBTQ storylines on television. And that is emotional connection, being able to step into a character's shoe and feel as though they're real people going through real things and not some caricature defined by their sexuality. They should be creating emotional connections that everyone can relate to, LGBTQ or not. And by doing these check-boxing storylines, you're just alienating absolutely everyone, because LGBTQ audiences find it insulting that you want to define them by their lesbianness or gayness or transness or whatever it is, and straight audiences think it's fucking weird that someone wants to have a kid with someone that their wife cheated on them with, because the lens with which straight people are going to see it through, they're going to think about it in their scenario, and they're going to think, well, if Meredith and Derek were having problems, would Meredith go and troll the hospital and find someone that she'd previously slept with to ask them for sperm and ask them to join their family? No, she wouldn't. And so that's why it's weird. Nobody wants to see this. So Station 19 and all the others need to stop writing stories that are defined by the character's LGBTQ-ness. Stop ticking checkboxes and just write real stories with nuance and emotional connection about characters that just happen to be LGBTQ. I'd love to do a deep dive on this subject, so if you are interested in that, hit like on the video and subscribe so that you can stay up to date on absolutely everything I cover, Station 19, Grey's, The L Word, and all the other shows. And if you want to follow me on social media, I talk about all the shows I cover over there as well and keep up to date with all the filming and guest stars and things. I also have a Patreon, a merch store, a podcast, a second channel where I talk about scams and cults. That's all linked in the description box down below. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, make sure to stay safe, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.